The first week of football is in the bag, and I don't care how your fantasy team's doing because every week is a new game at FanDuel. You go to FanDuel.com, and let me tell you, they have got some great new stuff this year. If you have never played FanDuel, there has never been a better time to start. They have beginner contests for new players where you're only matched up against other beginners. You get in 50-50 contests where half of everybody wins cash. You can play for $1, or you can get in huge tournaments. I believe this week, FanDuel is paying out at least $1 million in prizes.
Cha-ching.
Look, FanDuel is a great place to have fun. It has everything that sports fans want. It is for fantasy football fans and fanatics. Look, if you want to be sports rich, you go to FanDuel.com, and here's a great deal that they're giving. If you try FanDuel now, you can get up to $50 in free entries for new users who will deposit. They get 5 free entries into those 50-50 beginner contests valued at up to $50. So go to FanDuel.com, click the Join Now code, and use our code BALLERS.
Ballers.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
And Matt Forte scored again. Just now. Just now he ran into the end zone. Stop. Number 9. Just put up his 9th touchdown. All people playing against
Andy,
Forte.
But Andy, this is going to be a low-scoring game.
Oh, welcome to Thursday Night Football.
Wow. Well,
The
sorry.
revenge edition.
Sorry, everyone, for saying it was going to be low-scoring. Goodness gracious. You know what was funny, though? I was thinking about this, and it was like, okay, I didn't think the Bills could score, but they scored a ton, but I think on, like, 3 plays. Like,
Yes.
they had no offense except for the Jets' D was so good. Apparently, this is how you beat them. You just throw it past their defense.
Right. If you can get it past their D
Yeah, then you're good.
in the air,
Exactly.
you're set.
That's back-to-back burns on Mr. Tyrell Williams.
68 points. Is that correct?
Total?
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
don't have the final in front of
37-31,
me.
something like that.
It was unbelievable.
Do you want to know what Tyrell Williams is? He's Alcatraz. At one point in time, you did not want to go there. Now it's like a vacation spot. You go for when you're on vacation, you go check it out. You're like,
You
this
see-
is awesome.
You throw luau parties there?
I saw that tweet. Somebody said, luau on Revis Island, all the wide receivers are invited.
Yeah.
Oof.
But, yeah, we're going to jump into the fantasy implications of last night's game in the quick question today. Very excited. Want to remind everybody that on Sunday, Mike's going to be jumping into a Periscope as he does every Sunday morning.
Getting you ready with your last-minute questions.
Because you got to have a small dose of fantasy footballers right before the game start. And so Mike's in there. I think 7,000 people joined him on Periscope this past week.
Yeah, join. Come. Periscope with me.
Come Periscope. Him and Revis will be there, and it'll be a luau. It'll be fun. All right, what else do we got going on today? The rest of the matchups, the breakdowns today. Very excited about that. Catch you up on the injury news and notes, and let you know what's going on for this weekend.
The almost injury news.
Yeah. Oh. As a Brandon Marshall owner, I freaked out.
I thought it was the end.
I freaked out.
I thought it was the end.
So did he. So very excited about today's show. We also have the Daily Dose with Chris Meaney, our DFS segment towards the end of the show today, where he breaks down some of the big. What do you think's our value picks, ideal picks for some of those big tournaments?
Yeah, we just talked about getting in FanDuel, and if you're new, you're going to get expert picks on this episode.
Yeah,
so
we do that every Friday.
Yep.
Every Friday with Chris Meaney. And we're introducing something else today. We got a FootClan Friday.
Stay tuned.
So we'll let you know what that's about. Going to be very fun.
Yeah, giving away a FootClan shirt, right?
So let's get into the Marshall Miracle. What are the takeaways from last night's game? Jason was out. He had some engagements, so he watched the game later. But we all talk on Slack, and so I when Marshall went down and the way he went down, I kind of freaked out because, I mean, I just traded for him. I just traded Julio Jones. And see, people thought I traded Julio straight up for Brandon Marshall. No. I made a big trade. I got C.J. Anderson and Brandon Marshall. I traded Julio and some other pieces. And I'm like, okay, I kind of got I got rid of that bum ankle of Julio. Not that it's really going to bother him. I got rid of that worry. And then the face mask dragged down. Brandon Marshall owners freak out. Twitter goes bananas.
Look, it went into full slow motion for me. I'm on the couch, and the Doors start playing in the back of my head. This is the end.
Oh, yeah.
My only friend.
Yeah.
I thought we were done. I thought it was goodbye, Marshall.
He came out today, said he thought it was done, thought he was going to be fishing. I mean, he just thought it was over.
Well, and he's at the age of if he blows out his knee.
That's like a year later than Jordy Nelson.
He's going to be a good commentator.
All right, so Brandon Marshall, the news is, if you didn't watch the game, Brandon Marshall went out with a knee injury, said he lost feeling in his knee, went back to the locker room, and then all of a sudden appeared in the huddle. I mean, it was like nobody – I got tweets from different sources and alerts that said questionable to return at the exact same moment he joined the huddle again in the second half.
With new shoes. Did you notice that?
I know.
Yeah,
did they make him change the bright yellows?
He had these neon highlighter shoes, which were awesome because it was I could glimpse, where's Brandon Marshall?
Exactly.
There he is.
I know.
And then so it got to the second half. I'm like,
I freaked out.
Where's Marshall?
Yeah. So he came back in. He had an okay game. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He went over a hundo.
Yeah, he went over. Almost three of them did. Quincy Enunwa.
Balling
out.
Man.
Balling out. Looks way better than last year. Loved him last year.
He'll be on our Tuesday show for sure.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to – it started to look like he was going to be the biggest waiver claim by far.
Yeah.
Because Marshall was out. But Marshall came back and played okay. Matt Forte, all he had was 30 carries for 100 yards.
My goodness.
And 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's getting the ball. And that's the thing is last year, if you listened, we loved Chris Ivory early in the season because we saw how the Jets wanted to play. The problem was Chris Ivory, even though he's still got a ton of workload, he's not on the field to catch those passes. He's not there on third downs. That's not his ability. But they bring in Matt Forte, and he's in pretty much the whole game. He was – I mean, I didn't see anything special out of him. He has great vision, always has. Consistent. But when you get the ball 30 times and you got a great offensive line and you got a team that's throwing the ball fine, I mean, that's fantastic. And thankfully, I mean, I know we weren't high on him. We weren't high on him pre-draft.
For a season long.
Season long. Thankfully, this week, I think, Mike, you had him as the number 3 running back
I had him
overall.
at 6 this week. I don't know where you had him, Jason, but
8.
We liked him this week. I think we owe him an apology for kind of thinking he couldn't do this in the preseason because we were not on board. We were on board with Bilal Powell getting paid that money.
He's getting paid a lot of money to sit on a bench.
He had almost no carries.
So
I mean, where do you go from here? Is Matt Forte a top 10 back rest of the season?
I was just gonna ask, keep or sell, or are you trying to buy him?
I think that I think he'll be hard to buy.
Yeah.
And if I had him, I'd keep him.
So you're not going
I'm
to sell
not
high?
selling high on Matt Forte.
Yeah, I think I'm going to ride the train.
Look, how do you stop that offense if they have 2 or 3 wide receivers that are just as dominant as they? I mean, did you see Brandon Marshall's drop, by the way?
He dropped it twice. He grabbed it, dropped it, then he caught it again and dropped it again. Same play.
You had 126 yards for Decker, 101 for Marshall, 90-something for Enunwa, and then you had Forte in the mix. And look, Ryan Fitzpatrick had a great 374-yard game. He only had 1 touchdown because of Forte. But
I don't remember Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing the ball less than 20 yards.
It was bombing.
Every single time he's dropped back, it was just
I would do it too.
it.
I would do it too. All I have to do is throw those deep sideline throws, and my guys go up and get it. It's incredible. So great game for the Jets. I think I said it yesterday. I think the Bills are one of the worst teams in football. I just don't think they can get it done.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate.
And
Rex Ryan will be out of a job. Rob Ryan will be out of a job.
Have to talk about the fact that Sammy Watkins was not able to finish that game. He did play most of the game, but
76% of snaps.
Yeah, by the end he was done while the game was still on the line, and they could have used him big time at the end. He was not able to get in there. That is very concerning. He's got to be shut down for a while.
We're going to jump into the news. Before we do that, look, it's our job to equip you for a great fantasy football year. One of the ways you can do that is head over to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. It's where you can submit questions to the show, where you can engage with our community. You can also find articles. There's a new article out today called Who is Tyrell Williams?
Who?
So if you don't know who Tyrell Williams is, I picked him up in my league yesterday. I'd like to see what happens. He had about 9 fantasy points last week. He's going to step into 2 wide receiver sets with Phillip Rivers this week. Very excited about it. you have we have a QB primer that went up yesterday. Different articles every single day. We got the starts of the week for the DFS on the website as well. And
hey, I think we gotta
do a little congratulations.
Jason can't do it for himself, so
he sure can, but we're not going to let him.
Yeah, so I'll step in. Jason, an official congratulations on the Fantasy Pros Accuracy Challenge. Jason was number 2.
Number 2 out of all the experts.
Number 2.
We pride ourselves on being accurate here.
That's
and
one of the pillars, right? Entertaining.
Let me ask you this.
High quality.
Let me ask you
accurate.
this, Jason.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you be number 1?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you?
I'll tell you why I couldn't
pick
be
up
number
your
1.
silver medal?
No, I'll tell you why I couldn't be number
First
1.
loser.
Adrian Peterson and Todd Gurley. That's why I couldn't be number 1.
But there are 100+ experts on there, and Jason got number 2 this week. So very exciting, very cool. Good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thanks.
Follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers as well. Let's talk news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, we have a ton of matchups to get into, so I'm going to fly through it. Maybe. I mean, Todd Bowles said maybe. No, Todd Bowl. Stop.
Todd Bowles.
You threw me off.
Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles
Maybe.
said Marshall suffered a slight knee sprain. Maybe he suffered a slight knee sprain, so he's okay. Matt Forte is on pace for 472 touches.
Also,
Take
Matt
the
Forte
under.
is on pace for death.
No, he's not. He's
shown,
played in the league for 10 years. He
I was
can do
going to
this
say
kind of thing.
he's shown that he can take that kind of a workload.
And he's been healthy.
I'll take the under on the 472.
Yes, I will too. Todd Bowles called him a workhorse, though. Doug Peterson says he plans to feed Ryan Mathews the ball this weekend. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I'm buying Ryan Mathews in leagues.
Matthews.
The volume
hungry.
you saw last week. I like look, he's their guy. Zach Ertz did not practice, listed as doubtful. I don't think
Listed as
anybody
doubtful.
expects him to play.
Yeah,
He's going to be out this week.
Go ahead and list him as out.
Yeah. T.Y. Hilton added to the Colts injury report on Thursday. Missed practice with a knee issue. Back
In
at practice
full.
on Friday. What do we think about Hilton?
If he's back at practice on Friday and he's able to play, I worry more about the matchup than I do about the knee.
Yeah. I think he's a great sit this week if you mix the knee in with the Denver defense.
Yeah, if you have other good
He
options.
did return to practice, by the way.
Yeah,
Yes.
I said that.
Oh, I apologize. I heard Jason say if he returns.
Yeah, no, I was saying if he returned, I'm not too worried about it.
Chris Ivory not practicing on Friday. He is out officially for this weekend.
T.J. Yeldon's a great play again.
Yeah. Kamar Aiken only played on 36 of 68 offensive snaps in week 1, participated a lot in special teams. He's going to he's not startable. He might not be rosterable.
I was going to say he's certainly cuttable right now. Liked him.
I'd rather have Tyrell Williams.
Preseason, but when you hear him talk, he says he wants to be out there playing wide receiver, but then he goes on and says, but the team needs me for special teams,
Right.
so I'll do that.
Mike Wallace, Steve Smith Sr., those guys are going to get the ball ahead of Kamar Aiken right now. So, all right, let's move on. Let's jump into the matchups.
Fantasy Forecast.
All right, let's talk Saints and Giants. All they have is a 52-point over-under. I'll take the over. Mike made some good points when he was talking about this game yesterday. The Giants' defense looks like it's improved. They're not playing in New Orleans where Brees tends to go crazy. I still think this will be a shootout. You've got Brees and Manning are the two quarterbacks in this game. They're my 1 and 2 on the week.
And that's very fair. This is I expect there to be a lot of points. Just saying, temper your expectations. However, if I have people involved in this game, they're in. All of them are in. Even Sterling Shepard, I think, could be a sneaky flex type of player this week.
This is not a small amount of people either. This is Cooks, Snead, Beckham, Jennings, Ingram, Fleener.
If you need a Michael Thomas, even.
What about Shepard and Cruz?
Shepard to me is
More
a
upside.
very high-end wide receiver 3 in my rankings. He's almost a wide receiver 2. I think I've got him at like 28 or somewhere around there. I mean, the reality is the New Orleans Saints defense is just so empty of talent, and their most talented guy, Bro, he went out. He's injured now. And so, when it comes to the combination of Odell Beckham Jr. and Shepard, and I agree with you, even Cruz, all three of those guys are startable this week. Cruz, to me, I mean, all three of them. If you don't have better options, I would be fine looking at a game like this where there's going to be so many points put on the board. Great, go with it.
Yeah, you kind of saw 3 wide receivers with viability last week in the Saints game because you had Snead and Cooks, which dominated, and then even Michael Thomas had 6 catches. So 3 guys can participate in a shootout type of game. You have Jennings. I really like Jennings this week. If you're stuck starting a New York tight end, who do you guys start? Because I would start Will Tye.
Oh, man.
I feel like I would start Donnell over Tye just because I think when they get to the red zone, he's going to be the one in for those opportunities. But the truth is I would not start either. I think there are better options.
Yeah.
What
I
if
agree.
Fleener falls on his face in this game?
If Fleener falls on his face in this game, that would be a little.
Would you replace him in your
yeah,
lineup?
I mean, honestly, he's replaceable now to a certain degree. Like if Eric Ebron was on the waivers, I don't like carrying 2 tight ends. I would drop Fleener for Ebron right now because I like his matchups. I like his next couple weeks, and I like his rest of season opportunity there. It really depends on who's out there. I would hold Fleener over most other options.
Okay. All right. I don't think there's anything else we need to cover because there's not a lot of start-sit.
Just start him.
Just start them all.
Jennings will. I made a note right now while we were covering this. Jennings needs to move up my rankings a little bit because what you saw, last week, I was thinking, okay, the Oakland Raiders, Amari Cooper had a good game, Michael Crabtree had a good game, but the running, you had 3 running touchdowns, rushing touchdowns last week against New Orleans. So it's fantasy for all.
Hey, guys, asking for a friend, Ryan Mathews or Rashad Jennings this week?
I would go
in a half point.
Rashad Jennings. I would rather take the game with a bunch of points scored than the probably low-scoring Philadelphia-Chicago game. And now that I've said that, they're going to go for like 500 points.
All right, I'll tell my friend.
Yeah, I'd take Jennings.
Thank you.
All right. The Cowboys take on the Redskins this week, 45-point over-under. Dak Prescott had a very mistake-free opening week. Kirk Cousins, the opposite of that. Kirk Cousins, was inaccurate. He still put up a lot of yardage. What do you think about this divisional matchup here?
Look, I think that Cousins has a very strong opportunity to bounce back here. The Cowboys' pass rush does not scare me, and that's the thing for Washington. They're not going to be able to run the ball. I don't believe they will. With an effectiveness, of course. And so Cousins is just going to have to throw. And if Cousins gets time in the pocket, he'll be fine. He has the playmakers to get it done. So I like him to bounce back. I'm playing D-Jax. I'm playing Jordan Reed. Matt Jones. Matt Jones is such a wild card. I don't know if I can start him yet.
Yeah, I would really feel better after seeing some success in the running game there. He's a guy you might have to start, and it's not the worst, but I don't expect anything good from him. I completely agree with you on Deshaun Jackson. I have personally started him this week over Jeremy Hill and Michael Crabtree, both of guys that I think are decent options, but Deshaun Jackson should have a good game this week.
Deshaun Jackson gained 20 or more yards on 1/3 of his catches last year, and that doesn't mix well with a Dallas defense that gave up 20-plus yards 22% of the time last year, which was 4th worst in the league.
That actually mixes very well.
Hey, D-Jax.
It doesn't mix well for Dallas.
True.
That's what I mean. So I like D-Jax, and it pains me to say it because I know I'm facing him in our league of record when I go up against
we
Jason.
haven't posted our matchup yet. We got to put that out there and have people vote.
So far
close.
it's been Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, and Brandon Marshall.
He was fine.
Yeah.
I wanted that touchdown, man.
You could have had a bigger
There
game,
were
but you could have had a loser
two
game.
plays that he would have scored on, both penalties. You had the face mask pull down. I think he would have just scored on that play.
Have.
And then you had the did you guys see the falling away? It was a full blitz on 3rd down. Marshall just ran right up the middle, and Fitz just threw it way up in the air, and Gilmore just grabbed him by the waist. He would have scored on that play too.
Those are both good penalties.
Really like Ezekiel Elliott this week. I'm back on board with him. He's a top 5 play for me.
Yeah, we saw D. Will just take Washington to task.
Yeah, so I love Zeke. Wouldn't start Prescott. I'd find another option. I wouldn't start Dez if I had, let me put you to the task on Dez. Because there's the where you rank him versus the courage to sit him.
Sure. That's
Will Fuller. Dez Bryant.
Will Fuller. I'll
Can
still
Wouldn't
play
the
Dez.
narrative
Can I
have been
answer?
different if Dez scored on that one play last week?
It would be completely different. Nobody would be off Dez, and I think it's a silly question to say
I know.
Dez
I
or
think
Will
it's
Fuller.
I think it's Dez.
I moved Dez down a little bit because he was up at like 11 for me. I think he's like my 15th or 16th wide receiver. I'm still starting Dez Bryant right now.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get into the rest of the matchups, we got to thank today's sponsor,
Yeah.
helping us keep this podcast running 5 times a week, and that is Thursday Boot Company. We've talked about this boot place before. Look, I got my pair of natural captains in the mail, and they are delightful.
Oh.
Delightful. Opening up the box. Look,
the
real
smell.
tier 1 grade A USA leather. And I just getting a little snapshot. Like, these boots, these are some serious boots. They are the design is extremely clean. They look great in my jeans or when I'm suiting up, if you know what I mean. Look, you just pulling them out of the box. The smell, Jason alluded to
Oh,
it.
it's incredible.
Smelling real leather is intoxicating. They're extremely comfortable. And you know what? They have a cork bed midsole. That means it molds to your foot over time, so it's going to get even better. Thursday boots have the sophistication of a fashion boot, yet the durability of a work boot. And look, Thursday boots, they don't use discount codes because they are committed to honest pricing, with prices starting at just $149, and that includes free shipping and returns. Thursday boots are the best buy this season, and with their clean, timeless design and durability, Thursday boots will keep you standing confident for years to come. If you want to see a selection of our favorites from Thursday Boots, go to thursdayboots.com/footballers. That is thursdayboots.com/footballers.
All right, we also want to thank today's sponsor, Harry's. You've heard us talk about them for a couple of years now, and I've been using Harry's for a couple of years as well. It is a high-quality product at a fair price. That's what makes Harry's so great. For a comfortable shave, you don't have to compromise on your shave. You can get started with Harry's. You know, for too long, you probably paid too much to have a good shave, or you settled for some low-priced, low-quality razor, and that's not what Harry's is about. They're the only company, the only brand that combines amazing quality and low prices. If you jumped on board with us last year, you know exactly what we're talking about. You get 5 German-crafted blades with a flex hinge and a lubricating strip. The high-quality blades, you can just feel it, too. When you get it out of the box, you can just feel it. I shave with Harry's each and every day, and they are absolutely great. So here's what you do to check out Harry's. They've got a special deal, a starter set that they call the Truman.
Ooh.
Yeah, the Truman, and it is a great option for a brand-new customer, an amazing deal. It's $15, and you get a razor handle, you get moisturizing shave cream, and you get 3 of their German-engineered razors. And so if you're a listener of this show and a follower of this show, they give you $5 off your first purchase with the promo code FOOTBALLERS. So go to harrys.com right now. Look for the Truman set. That's harrys.com. Enter the code FOOTBALLERS at checkout and get $5 off and help support the show.
Yeah.
Stop compromising. Go with Harry's.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Buccaneers, Cardinals.
Quick question.
Sure.
The Bengals and Steelers are in here. Did we bypass them, or did we already?
No, we have not talked Bengals and Steelers.
All right.
I skipped. I skipped on accident.
I don't want to
there.
forget that game.
Inadvertent mistake. Let's go back to them. The Bengals head to Pittsburgh, taking on the Steelers. Andy Dalton, Big Ben, square off yet again. 2 very good teams. I think 2 very good teams. I think it's going to be a challenge for the Cincinnati defense in this game to see what they're made of, see what they can do against Antonio Brown, Big Ben, that offense. What do you think?
It's interesting because Big Ben last year had very little success against Cincinnati. Yeah, but if you go two years ago, he had great success since against the Bengals. He's probably a must play for me at this point. An interesting thing I wanted to bring up. Shout out to JJ Zacharyson who brought this to my attention. Heath Miller, who was not playing, I understand, but Heath Miller, the tight end, had 10 receptions in both games against the Bengals last year. So I'm not saying, just saying
Jesse James
that the outlaw Jesse James, you could go worse if you're just picking out of that gross tight end bunch.
Yeah, I really like Jesse James this week. Now here's the thing: last year Pittsburgh allowed 3,000 plus yards to the wide receiver position, which was good enough for dead last.
3,000?
3,000 receiving yards last year to wide receivers. Dead last in the league.
Oof.
Green light your A.J. Green. But here's the question. You're picking a second wideout to start in Cincinnati.
Brandon LaFell.
Yeah, it has
Brandon
to be LaFell as of
Okay.
now. But
LaFell had a quiet, good game last week.
yeah, he went. Did he go over 100 or
No,
90?
he was
like
just
4
under.
for 90.
Just under.
Now, what do you do with the running backs that really underwhelmed last week against
Oh,
the Jets defense? Are you rolling out? You said you're starting Djax over Jeremy Hill. What are your thoughts on Hill and Gio?
I actually like both plays this week. Jeremy Hill is the player I would prefer to play because I think when you're in this matchup and you're thinking, okay, I need to slow down Antonio Brown in the passing game and the offense of the Steelers, it's going to play to your advantage. As you just said, they gave up very few passing yards. Their rushing defense, it was not top of the league like the Jets' rushing defense is. And so I think you're game planning here more of a Jeremy Hill type of game script. I'm fine with Hill this week. I see him as an RB2. If he gets, 2 touchdowns, obviously he'll be great this week. So I'm comfortable with the Cincinnati rushing. There's 4 guys that I would play from Cincinnati. I would play Andy Dalton somewhat reluctantly. I think there are better options, but if you throw him out, I'm never too upset with that. I would love to play A.J. Green. I am fine with Jeremy Hill, and I'm okay with Gio. That's kind of my temperature on those 4 guys.
So last year, Gio Bernard against Pittsburgh in the first game had basically 34 total yards. In the second game, he had 67 with no scores in either. I got Gio in our league of record. I don't know what to do with him this week, and I think that week 1 is just screwing with my head of the usage where the game flow for both running backs threw everything off. But I feel like that's putting me on tilt here for the Bengals running back. So at this point, I'm sitting Gio down. I'm going with a different option at my flex, and I'm really hoping that this week can turn around my opinion.
All right, let's transition to the Cardinal game in Phoenix. The Buccaneers travel to take on Arizona. Jameis Winston coming off a big-time week. The Cardinals coming off a disappointing loss to the New England Patriots at home. Now we have what should be a fairly competitive, high-scoring game. 50-point over-under. The Cardinals are favored in this one. Look, Jameis Winston had a really good week. Jason and I disagree with his situation this week.
We have a water bet.
We have a water bet.
I think he's going to be top 15. You think he will not be. I actually had I'll say this. I had a tough decision on whether to play Jameis Winston or Big Ben in one of my leagues. I decided to go with Big Ben, but the fact that it was a tough decision says that I actually do believe that Jameis Winston will be fine. I believe that because of Brandin Williams. I've said that before, but he is currently one half of the field for the Arizona Cardinals, and he is awful.
And there were reports yesterday that Patrick Peterson is not going to shadow Mike Evans for the entirety of the game.
That's a fist pump
Now,
for
what
Jason.
was
That's a fist pump for fantasy. That's a bad idea, I think, for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if you do, he'll have him most of the game. So do you believe in Vincent Jackson this week?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I see it is you have 2 big weapons on offense as far as your wide receivers down the field. One of them is always going to be covered by Patrick Peterson, and one of them is always going to be wide open. So I don't know, that's where it's I was worried about starting Mike Evans if Patrick Peterson was covering him. But if all you did was throw at Brandin Williams, you'd be okay. And I realize I'm being a little hyperbolic here. And
he's a rookie. He's got to learn.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's the argument.
But I genuinely do believe that there will be enough broken coverages and big plays. Tampa Bay is not afraid, and Jameis Winston is not afraid to air it out. Do I think Arizona ends up with a couple interceptions? Absolutely. But I think that they also Tampa Bay does, with a couple long touchdown bombs. And that's, if he gets 2 touchdowns, he's going to have enough yards in a game where points go up, that's why I'm comfortable with Jameis Winston. What about Arizona's side of the ball?
Well, Bucs had a very good first week against the run.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about if you're referring to David Johnson. David Johnson is a must-start every single week until further notified. Don't even ask me.
Now, this is interesting. Tampa allowed 18 receiving touchdowns in the red zone last year. That was 30th out of 32 teams. Fitzgerald kind of owns the red zone when you talk about receiving touchdowns. He had 2 last week, a couple amazing catches. The guy just is ageless. Do you is it a stay in the flames yet for Fitzgerald in the red zone, or is he heating up?
He's
Do you expect him to heat up, I guess?
I expect him to heat up. I think he'll have another good game. 2 touchdowns, I'm not calling for that. But Fitzgerald for me is a must start, and Michael Floyd is you probably do start him.
I absolutely start Michael Floyd, and I start
that
Larry
escalated
Fitzgerald.
quickly.
I'm just saying right now, the way that I see this game going, I agree. There's going to be some red zone touchdowns. I think that they'll be split. I'm not starting John Brown. I think we have to hold off another week to see. I'm waiting until John Brown has his snap counts where we expect them to be up near the 90s before I roll him out before a game. I'm obviously going to miss that first game where he hits, but I'm fine with that. Michael Floyd to me and Fitz, both of those are borderline wide receiver ones this week for me.
All right, we have to move on. We're going to talk about the Los Angeles Rams and the Seahawks. You are
before we move on. I know we're running long here, but the Doug Martin, Charles Sims.
Yes.
I think people really.
Well, you're not sitting Doug Martin down if you drafted him,
right?
And so the question is, can you flex Charles Sims?
I don't know if I would flex him.
I'd probably stay away from it
week.
on the road against Arizona.
The thing to watch here is Doug Martin had 5 receptions last week, and we know he can catch the ball, but they kind of have Sims, who they have touted as their passing specialist. If Doug Martin can continue to get those receptions up, he's going to be far more valuable than I anticipated.
All right.
Let's
move on. Seahawks, Rams. We had the concerns about Russell Wilson's ankle earlier in the week. Everything is trending in the right direction for him. Full practices. He says he's good to go. Is there any reason you'd sit Russell Wilson down? I mean, I don't think that'd be wise based on the fact that Blaine Gabbert looked like a superstar last week against this Rams defensive front, running the ball and throwing the ball.
The superstar's a little much.
Okay, but he did run all over them.
Yes, he did run a lot, but I think that was more of a product of his receivers not getting open and his going first read, not available, I'm going to run. Look, for me, if I have let's say there's going to be some teams out there that have a Russell Wilson, Eli Manning decision.
Oh.
Would you play Eli Manning or Russell Wilson?
Easily Eli.
I'd go with Eli this week with the variable of the ankle.
Okay.
And because we expected the Rams to be a good defensive front.
Yeah.
But they're not right now. I mean, so far, not so much. And I don't think that the Seahawks are going to be the team that they end up showing their mettle against, personally. They will be in L.A. They will
be in L.A. for the first real game in L.A. So there'll be that emotional, high. You also see that the Rams usually play the Seahawks pretty darn well in that division. So I'm not in love with a lot of the players here. I still am. Look, if you drafted Todd Gurley, you almost.
I was going to say, how mopey is your face when you have to leave Todd Gurley in your lineup?
Yeah, I know. That's how the mighty have fallen in a week.
It just stinks because he has a bad week. Now he plays Seattle, and you just have to leave him in, but you kind of go, oh, I hope he breaks a long one.
Yeah, if I had other really good options, I mean, I'll put it like this.
I couldn't sit him.
You couldn't?
No. I mean, unless you're saying like somehow Todd Gurley, I have to choose between him and C.J. Anderson.
No. Okay, let me give you one.
Adrian Peterson.
Here's a guy that I think it would be. Okay, so Rashad Jennings. Right?
No, I'm playing Todd Gurley.
Definitely? Okay.
Definitely.
T.J. Yeldon.
That's a good one.
Alone against the Chargers.
I'm playing Todd Gurley.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to pick, like I said, it's going to be a couple of names.
I think I'm going to have to restrict and take away your Gus Bus pass if you're not going to play T.J. Yeldon over Todd Gurley.
Oh, come on. Over Todd Gurley. Last year against Seattle, Gurley put up 19 for 83 and a touchdown.
Okay,
and that's in Seattle. You also saw last week, I mean, they could move the ball a little bit on the ground against Seattle. It was all right.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now you're at home.
A little bit.
Just saying, Todd Gurley's otherworldly talented.
I'm going to start him, but if there's another bad week, man.
Yeah. The reason I like Russell Wilson is I think if there's a place that the Rams succeed in, it's against the run. They allowed like 1.4 yards per carry on plays in the red zone last year. So he's going to have to throw it. And so the Baldwin show, looks good in the red zone.
Yeah, are you going to start Lockett or Curse in this game?
I'm not, but I'm definitely starting Baldwin.
Hey, Jason, are you going to start Jimmy Graham?
Jimmy Graham is my automatic every week sit of the week.
Colts, Broncos. Uh-oh. Andrew Luck. How high do you have him this week, Mike?
Let me verify. He came after my initial statting. He was extremely high, and the Twitter fire, he nearly blew up on me.
I don't even know why I'm asking you. Jason was the guy who was number 2. So I mean, I shouldn't even.
How dare you?
Just kidding.
How
I'm just
dare you?
kidding. So what is the narrative for Luck this week
Look,
against a very good defense?
I still have Andrew Luck at number 4, and the reason is I believe in the garbage ability of Andrew Luck. I think
the garbage man can.
I would not be shocked if the Broncos pretty much shut the Colts out for an entire half and put some points on the board. But Andrew Luck is, even against a tough defense, with that offensive line, I think that Andrew Luck can get it done for fantasy purposes.
He's going to have to throw the ball, right? Because I think their defense is
He's
not
going to
going
have to run the ball. That's what I think.
Yeah, he's not going the Colts defense is not going to be able to stop CJ Anderson and Emmanuel Sanders. Just those two guys. They're going to go down.
CJ Anderson's our number 1 this week?
Yes.
He's my number 1, yes.
The Colts D has looked as bad as any D in the league. I mean, I feel like it's the Colts and the Browns. I want players against those two teams right now. And that means that if they're down by 2+ scores or even just 2, they're going to have to throw the ball. The question is, with their porous offensive line and Denver's incredible offensive line, I feel like I can't even trust Andrew Luck to finish this game.
That's fair.
So I have said on Twitter, I've said around us, I've said to other people, this is the one game I cannot get a grip on this week. Because if Andrew Luck came out and threw for 3 touchdowns and 300 yards at garbage time, I buy it.
Andrew Luck is the most annoying to figure out anyways, because last week he started, it didn't look good, and then he turned the whole game around.
Classic Luck.
It's classic Luck. Now, okay, so you can't get a good grip on it. Are you starting Luck over Winston?
No. Ironically, they are back-to-back in our consensus rankings, but I have Winston 11 and Luck 15.
Okay. That's fair. I'd be wanting another option. It's hard, though, because Luck came out and dominated last week for fantasy owners. So people, I doubt he's going to get sat down no matter what the story is. And it's not fun to sit a guy down and have him do good things.
The one guy I would point out again is Dwayne Allen. Even though Denver's defense is incredible, they did proportionately for what they gave up. They gave up a higher percent to the tight end.
Yeah, Greg Olsen had a great game.
Yeah, than most leagues.
And
Virgil Green, start of the week.
Virgil Green is, I think, a great option from the waiver pool of the tight end, the Barfy tight ends. I got to get a name for these guys here. And Hilton, we talked about him earlier. If I have a different option, just because of the injury, I'll sit him. Moncrief, I'm okay playing him.
And then the final question here is what to do with Demaryius Thomas.
Oh, with that.
He's got a hip problem, but he's got the best, juiciest matchup of all time.
Are they going to need him?
Yeah, I think you have to play him. If he's active, I think you have to play Demaryius Thomas. I can't see myself starting, Tyrell Williams, Mohamed Sanu, these other waiver wire guys from this week.
No.
None of those guys over Demaryius. If you told me straight up Demaryius or Sanders, I'd probably start Sanders. So that's the truth this week.
Me too.
Yeah.
Without a doubt I would.
All right, we got some more games to get through. The Falcons, the Raiders. Like Matt Ryan this week. He's my start of the week, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Oh, man. I know I'm the one of the three of us that has Devonta Freeman a little bit higher this week. I like his potential to bounce back in fantasy. I don't think snap counts are going to get, up. There's going to be some upheaval where he takes the majority. I think he's going to split some time with Tevin Coleman. I just think he's going to be more effective in this game. Julio Jones is going to play. The ankle is not an issue according to Julio Jones. So
this game is very interesting, specifically for the Falcons. Let's get a better grasp on what is the timeshare between the two running backs. Can Freeman be a fantasy force if he is splitting even 60-40 or 50-50 with Tevin Coleman? Sanu, is that just a one-game happenstance where he happened to be the focal point of the offense? Can he be involved? And Jacob Tamme, can he sustain, or will he go Jacob Tamme on us and have that one game, then he's bad?
He's the Jim Doyle. I mean, I don't think you're going to – he's played enough with Atlanta that I don't think you're going to see that consistently. But I'm fine with him as like a streaming, Jason Witten light. Jason Witten light.
The Barfy tight ends.
Sure. What are the other big questions for you? Would you start Crabtree, Jason?
Yes.
Yep.
I do like Crabtree quite a bit this week. When I said that I played Deshaun Jackson over Jeremy Hill and Michael Crabtree, I like Deshaun Jackson a lot, and that was a difficult decision, making that choice of those three guys. I actually like Crabtree's options here. Unless he's up against a great defense, I think Crabtree is always going to be in the consideration for a wide receiver too. He's tried and true. He's going to get his targets and an opportunity at some red zone targets as well.
All right, the Jaguars travel to San Diego. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be very disappointed in you, Gus, if you lose this game.
The Chargers are still favored.
Not according to what I'm seeing. I see Chargers +3.
I will vet it.
Will
Maybe
you
it
check
has
that?
changed
Will you
through
check
the
that
week,
for
but
me?
I am pretty confident.
I will say this.
Maybe you didn't see it, right?
Over the last three seasons,
didn't.
Over the last 3 seasons, Phillip Rivers has completed 74% of his passes for almost 1,000 yards with 8 touchdowns and no interceptions against Jacksonville.
Well, but Jacksonville's been notoriously bad. I think their defense is better, so that's very difficult to be able to extrapolate that out.
Sure, I'm just saying he's had success before.
Yeah, and I think people have gone – I think it's worth pointing out because people have gone too far. Like, he lost Keenan Allen, so now Phillip Rivers doesn't know how to play quarterback anymore.
Sure.
He's still got
That's not gonna
plenty of weapons. Antonio Gates, Danny Woodhead. I love how the first 2 weapons I name aren't wide receivers.
Right.
But he still has other wide receivers. I think he's got
Tyrell Williams. Can you start him?
I think there's a chance
Flex. You can flex him.
Yeah, this is a glory play, right? Tyrell Williams is the glory play. If you think you've got a lockdown win, or you're like,
Yeah,
crazy
I think this was put in
under-
here wrong. I see Chargers -3.
Yes, Chargers are favored in this game.
Which makes sense.
Tyrell Williams is that I played Tyrell Williams and won in your face. If you're Mike,
Yeah.
were you gonna say going me?
I was going to say going a moonshot.
Mohamed
but
Sanu or Tyrell Williams?
Sanu.
See, I would play Tyrell. But I understand that.
Yeah.
Both have good matchups. The Jaguars had a good, they lost in week 1, the almost upset of the week. They did have a decent defensive game against Aaron Rodgers, kept him under 200 yards, had a chance to win the game at the end.
That's pretty Aaron Rodgers-esque, though, I think he keeps himself under 200 yards.
You're probably right.
And just scores 4 touchdowns.
Big story here, TJ Yeldon. He should have the backfield to himself.
Must start.
You play Gordon and Woodhead.
If you have to pick one, who are you going to go with?
Woodhead?
Yeah, I think I
said
am
that,
too.
I said that with like hesitation. Yeah, we talked about Melvin Gordon this week. He's a sell high candidate for me.
The snaps just don't make any sense.
I think it'll be game to game, though. I think there'll be games where but look, this team is not going to be in as good of a position leading games without Keenan Allen as they would be if he was there.
Yeah.
You start okay. All right. Is there any other questions from this game?
Alan Hearns is my
I
start
was
of the
gonna
week.
say Hearns already. Do you have any concern about the
No, I
San
like
Diego
Hearns as a
DBs?
start of the week. I mean, San Diego, for all of their good DBs, they still had 20-plus yards on 10% of their attempts last year. So they give up big plays compared to the rest of the league. And Hearns, Robinson, they live on the big play. I mean, Robinson, he was 17.5 a catch last year? Something like that?
I believe it was something extraordinarily high like that.
I mean, it was very high.
Last year, I believe Blake Bortles led the league in passes over 20 yards in the air. So that goes to what you're saying here.
Yeah.
And Jason Barrett is going to be on Allen Robinson.
I like Hearns as a start. I'm not starting him over Allen Robinson by any stretch.
What, first-round pick, Alan Hearns?
Yeah, you remember that story. All right, let's talk about, is this a Sunday night game, Packers and Vikings?
Correct.
All right. We just talked about the fact the Packers last week, they got it done in Jacksonville. Close game. Rodgers looked sharp. You had a touchdown from Jordy. You had a touchdown from Devonta Adams.
The Limburger.
Limburger
cheese.
Oh, that's yeah.
He's playing the role that he was made to play.
He always gives you just enough to where you're willing to take a bite.
Yeah.
Devonta Adams.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
should
I got to
be-
eat it.
A little nibble.
I
He
gotta
should
eat
be
it.
a wide receiver 3, and that's what he's being. And what did he do? He caught the touchdown that
Makes a
was
difference.
usually reserved in old Packers offenses for James Jones. Remember how he just kept putting up a touchdown
Yep.
because he goes to that number 3 wide receiver. So I'm going to be watching him this week. He's a guy where I'm not starting him at all this week. But if he catches a touchdown, I might stay in the flames with him and predict a third in a row.
Bounce back game for Adrian Peterson?
I sure hope so.
I think that he'll be okay.
What happens if he doesn't perform this week? Are you going to have a freak out amongst fantasy owners?
I won't. The fantasy owners, yes, will freak out. I will not, just because knowing it's a division game. The Packers defense is pretty solid.
Packers are the best running defense in the league after week 1.
Yeldon had, like 30 carries for about 40 yards last
Okay,
week.
Yeah, 20 for like 50, right?
Yeah, he was
Something
just
bad.
over 2.
Something
But
bad.
which Peterson, he can. It's like Gurley. I mean, can you sit him down?
No.
Because you know that at any moment he can bust off a 50-yard touchdown run, and there's your entire week.
Now, Jordy Nelson came out and said he was playing with heavy legs in week 1, getting back into the mix. Is he just kind of like an okay start in this game?
Yeah,
I mean, you've got a good defense in Minnesota.
sure, but I'm still gonna start him because he's Aaron Rodgers' #1 wide receiver, and I'm very excited to watch Stephon Diggs. Can he heat up? We saw Diggs.
Really good game, over 100 yards in week 1.
Yeah, and that was Sean Hill throwing him the ball. Now Sammy Biscuits is coming in. Let's see how he can perform in his first week. But Diggs is a tremendous receiver. Let's see if he can get it done, and then you have some confidence to actually really start him.
Do we know the health of Sam Shields yet?
Last I heard, he was still in concussion protocol.
Yeah, if he's in concussion protocol, then Diggs is a good play. I mean, I don't want to overdo a matchup, but when you've got a specific guy
He's
that's
out.
He's ruled out.
I think he's out.
All right.
No, that is not a final ruled out. You threw that out there, but no. I think he's going to be out this week.
Okay.
Yeah. Then in that case, Diggs is improved all the more.
Okay. What's the last game we got on the docket here?
Eagles, Bears.
Eagles.
Monday night?
Monday night.
Jeremy Langford?
Must
Ryan
start.
Matthews? Which
Must.
of those two do you choose?
Langford.
Ooh, if I got to go between the two, I'll take Langford. I'll take the favored running back at home, Langford.
That's exactly how I see it as well. I like both backs on the year. I think they're both going to be involved, but the guy at home who's favored to win is usually going to be the more productive running back.
And you guys are predicting a Chicago win?
I am, but I was speaking of Vegas.
Yeah.
I am because I think that,
Let me put you on the spot here then.
Sure.
Jeremy Langford, Devonta Freeman this week.
Oh, that's really, really tough. I think I'm going to go Langford, even though, I've got Devonta Freeman, I believe, at number 11.
Yeah, you do. You have Langford at 9.
I'll take Langford.
There you go. I'm
You
true
have
to my
Langford
rankings.
ahead as well. Jeremy Langford, Danny Woodhead.
I'll take Langford.
Okay. All right. Jeremy Langford or Jonathan Stewart.
Oh, Jay Stu. Although
Not concerned about Jay Stu with the small injury report this week?
I've never seen a week
That's
without a
every
small
week.
injury report with Jay Stu.
Okay.
I need to look into it more so that I'm not just blindly ignorant, but right now I am blindly
Just
ignorant.
be normal ignorant, not blind.
Yeah, that's every day of my life.
I'm
Right.
going Langford.
You're going Langford over
Yeah.
Jay Stu?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take Jay Stu in that situation.
I will take look. Langford played almost every single running back snap, and that's
I wish I could have acquired him in more leagues this week.
yeah.
I
do
feel like
too.
he played good enough to make me believe in him and bad enough to where I could still acquire him at a reasonable price. I'm a little worried that if he has one more big game, he's going to be too hard to touch.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. We're going to get into the DFS questions of the week. We're going to talk to Chris Meaney, give you some picks. Let's jump in now.
The Daily Dose.
The fantasy footballers are beyond excited to bring back excellent, great friend of the show, Chris Meaney from the Fantasy Sports Network. We talked to him all last year about getting you some awesome, some good FanDuel plays here, and we're bringing him back. He reluctantly agreed to do it again, so we're very lucky to bring on Chris Meaney. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing great, man. Awesome to talk to you guys for sure, and just happy to have football back, man. Ready to rock. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, you know it. Football. It's fantastic that it's finally back. So for the people setting some FanDuel lineups, what are you looking at for the quarterback position this week?
Yeah, the quarterback position, it's interesting. You know, Drew Brees is at the top of the board, $9,200. If you guys remember last year's game between the Saints and the Giants, what was it, like 13 touchdowns over 180 yards combined between two QBs? I wouldn't be shocked if it was like that again. Drew Brees is not as good on the road. So I actually like Eli Manning more than Brees this week. And just in terms of FanDuel, he's $2,000 cheaper, so you can save yourself a little bit of dough that way. Rodgers doesn't have a fantastic matchup against Meaney. Neither does Luck in Denver. Russell Wilson in L.A. Dealing with the ankle injury. So I'm in on Eli. I'm in on Cam Newton. You could definitely spend up on Cam Newton today at home. I mean, I wonder if the 49ers are still hungover from that unexpected win. $9,000 for Cam, that's not bad. Stafford, $7,800, not bad. You want to save up on the quarterback position? I do like Flacco as well. $7,400 against Cleveland. Not a great defense. Rookie quarterback Carson Wentz. He looked good at times, made some nice throws, 2 touchdowns, but 2 deep ones too, especially to Aguilar. So I like Flacco. He can really air it out, and he'll save you some dough.
Love it. Flacco is my stream of the week, and I got him going in a couple spots for my personal team. So moving on to wide receivers, who are you looking at spending up or maybe trying to skimp a little bit?
Yeah, well, the top 3 are good to go all the time. Julio is, I don't know, man, something about him. I wouldn't trust him in a cash game, which is crazy to say, but this is like, he always seems to be hobbled. Odell Beckham Jr., Antonio Brown, there's no problem with those guys. They're right around the same price if you want to pay up for them. A.J. Green's going to be a target monster all year. Cooks is going to be heavily involved. So a lot of those top-tier guys are all safe. They're all fine. Going down the list a little bit, I really do like the Bears this week against the Eagles. I like Alshon Jeffrey. He's not even a top 10 wideout in terms of pricing. He's only $7,800. Going up against what's going to be Eagles secondary is a little bit banged up. I don't think McKelvin's playing, so they're going to have a 7th-round rookie corner in there. I think Jalen Mills. So Jeffrey should get a lot of targets, a lot of play this week. I like him. Going down, Larry Fitzgerald is not priced properly, $7,400. I know I said I didn't love Russell Wilson, but Baldwin's not priced properly either, $7,000 for him. If you thought last year's a fluke, it's not. This guy's just going to be a target machine. I keep going down the list. Jordan Mathews, it was encouraging to see him get a lot of targets. I think that could be a high-scoring game. Chicago, Philadelphia, 14 targets with Wentz, 7 catches. He's less than $7,000, as is Marvin Jones yet again. He's going to be a target machine all year, $6,500. And I mentioned Flacco. I like Wallace. I mean, why wouldn't you just roll the dice on Wallace? We saw exactly last week what he's going to do in this offense. Flacco's going to take shots downfield with Wallace, so he's only $6,100. So I definitely would have Wallace in a couple lineups.
Love it. All right, let's talk about some running backs. What's your situation, your take on the field this week?
Yeah, there's a couple of sticky situations, a couple of running back by committees you want to stay clear of. You know, Freeman is still highly priced. I'm not digging that at all. C.J. Anderson had a really good game, and the Colts can't stop anybody, so I'm in on C.J. at $7,800. He's a top 3 back for me, just overall in my ranks personally. D'Angelo Williams, again, is just going to continue to get a lot of play, and he's just amazing in that offense. It's just like Bell. It's like they don't even really miss him, and Bell's just fantastic. So those 2 backs, and then again, if you want to save up, back to the Chicago-Philly game, it's not a bad idea to stack. I mean, if you look at last week, some of the winning lineups, I mean, Cooks and Snead were in lineups. Same with Latavius Murray and Cooper. So I'm not opposed to Langford and Jeffrey. I think that's a pretty good combo. Last year, the Eagles gave up the most rushing yards on the ground. Crowell looked okay. He had a scoring touchdown against the Eagles. So Jeremy Langford's getting no love. And if there's no Ivory, I'd roll a TJ Yeldon. You saw what Spencer Ware was able to do against that Chargers D. They're just going to be bad again, I think, stopping the run.
All right. Do we have any Chris Meaney magic for the tight end position? It's when I look him over right now, it makes me want to barf everywhere because there's just no one standing out but the top guys. But you got any hidden gems for us this week?
I don't know. No Gary Barnages this week, I don't think, boys. Although I do think him, McCallum being back in that offense is going to help Gary Barnage. Certainly, they just seem to be on a really good connection. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I just look at this tight end, all these lists, and it's like, I'm not into any of them. Like, I guess Jason Witten, I go down the list here, 5'9". It's not like he's too expensive. You saw what Dak Prescott was doing. He was just 45 passes. The majority of them right to Beasley and right to Witten. Both of those guys, I think, are going to continue to get a lot of targets. So I'm in on Witten at $5,900. And then again, it's just like you can't really trust these guys. You just can't. I mean, Zach Miller, it seems, is he going to wake up in a decent matchup? He didn't really do much. And Jared Cook, a lot of people were in on him. It's just there's a lot of inconsistency. I think if anybody has a flyer that not a lot of people will play, going back to that Baltimore game, Dennis Pitta, $4,800. And Kyle Rudolph got a lot of targets as well. But then it's just another shaky situation with Bradford being the QB and not Sean Hill. So there's a lot of uncertainty at the tight end position, but I think Witten is probably your safest bet.
And what about a sleeper or two at the defense? Do you got anything loaded up there?
I think I'm going to pay up for D this week, guys.
Okay.
Like, not going to lie. Panthers against San Fran. I like that matchup a lot. Denver's always a good D, but you don't want to do it. You don't want to roll the dice. Baltimore, $4,500 seems like an okay play, but I think it's safe to spend up on D. Carolina, Seattle, just get them in your lineups.
Love it. So that's Chris Meaney from the Fantasy Sports Network giving you some awesome DFS FanDuel lineup situational knowledge. And we'll talk to you again in the future, Chris. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Good luck to everybody with their plays.
All right. Thank you, Chris Meaney, for joining us on the show. Every week we will feature Mr. Meaney himself from the Fantasy Sports Network talking daily fantasy picks. Some great starts for you if you're playing FanDuel.
Use the code BALLERS.
Yeah. So last thing that I want to do today.
The best thing we're doing today.
Before we close it out, and we don't even have a drop for it yet.
I'll do the drop.
But what kind of
Here, you ready? Just tell me.
Wait,
just
I don't
tell
have
me
a guitar riff for you.
No, I'll do the guitar riff.
Okay, go.
FootClan Friday.
That was Super Mario.
Did you just do Super Mario?
Subconscious. Yes. Mike, FootClan Fridays, I want you to work in. When you make that drop, I want you to work in Super Mario somewhere in there.
All right, so what is FootClan Friday?
We'll see about
FootClan
that.
Friday is every Friday we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to give away a FootClan t-shirt.
I'm rocking it right now if you're on YouTube.
To a
the
member.
FootClan t-shirt.
Yeah, to a member of our official FootClan from jointhefoot.com. I've got a winner for you. It's Trevor Crow. Trevor Crow.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Contact us on Patreon. And
yeah, we'll reach out to you actually. But either way, and we'll get you that FootClan t-shirt sent out. You can get involved with us at jointhefoot.com. Head over there. We got an extra episode every week. Got premium projections over there and a bunch of other stuff that I won't get into because we're wrapping it up today on the show. Do you guys have any parting words?
I just want to thank Thursday Boot Company again. Look, trust me, you got to go to ThursdayBoots.com/footballers. These are the boots to own. They're tremendous.
You'll have them forever.
Yes, they're 100% leather. Get real leather boots.
Use the code. What's the code?
It's ThursdayBoots.com/footballers.
ThursdayBoots.com/footballers. Definitely check out Fantasy Jocks as well if you need a trophy for your league and things like that. So thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. Go dominate.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.